Good Tuesday morning. Boy, it's a great text from Corinthians. Just it's a great. This is the life of the church. Let me read it to you, okay? Because here he describes the body of Christ as the church. You see, some people say that some scholars say that St. Paul really was the author of Christianity because he saw it and articulated it. Watch what he says here. As a body is one through its many parts, and all the parts of the body, though many, are one body, so also Christ. That's the image. See, that's your analogy. For in one spirit we were all baptized into one body, whether Jews or Greeks, slaves or free persons, we were all given to drink of one spirit. Now the body is not a single part, but many. Now you are Christ's body, and individually parts of it. Now this is a beautiful line right here for all of us. Some people God has designated in the church to be first apostles, second prophets, third teachers, then mighty deeds, then gifts of healing. Think of the nursing, doctors, assistants, administration, variety of tongues. Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? Do all work mighty deeds? Do all have gifts of healing? Do all speak in tongues? Do all interpret? Strive eagerly for the greatest spiritual gifts. We all have our gifts. And we bring the gifts that come from God. Those are all very special. See? And we bring our gifts, we bring our person and our gifts to the life of the church. That's the truth. There is, in a sense, no super special. There are hierarchical roles in the church, the papacy for one, the Pope, the clergy, etc., because of the sacraments. But of course, the authority of the church and the Holy Father and the Pope, and working its way through the bishops, etc. There's no question Catholicism is a hierarchical religion. But it doesn't take away the value, in a sense, what St. John the 23rd said when he was Pope. He saw himself as Pope as a servant of the servants, servus servandi Dei, the servant of those who do the serving. I think of them as the busboys in a restaurant who serve the waiters who serve the customers. My father was in the restaurant business. So you can almost say, if servus servandi Dei, huh? So the Pope is what's the Pope? He's a busboy, serving the waiters who are serving the people of God. You see? That's how it works. And it's a beautiful thought. It's a very important thought because in some ways the hierarchy of the church, because it is also authoritative, rightfully so, can begin to imitate political power and forget they are not regal. They're servants. They're not kings and potentates. They're servants. That was the genius of John the 23rd when he called himself the servant of the servants, servus servandi Dei. When you see a pope like Pius XII, I'm not taking anything away from him, you see a man of power, a pontiff, a man of real authority and power. When you see John the 23rd, you see something else. And both were important. Pius XII got us through the Second World War by his authority and his teaching, etc., his stability. John the 23rd took us in to the heart of the church, not the mind and the power, but the heart of the church. He taught us, and he lived a life of love. He too survived the Second World War, but in a different mode, you see. I love John the 23rd. I'm glad they made him a saint. He's the saint of our times, because in the horrors of the 20th century, the century of horror, that's what it was described as, the century of horror, he was a symbol of love. In his hugely jovial way, he was a symbol of love. It seems extremely important because it is love that binds us, whether Jews or Greeks, slaves or free. It's love. If we look at what makes us different, then we compete with each other. But if we love each other, then our differences are complementary. They add to the beauty. They don't make the beauty competitive and divisive. And that's the truth. And I think as we're now entering really into global Christianity, true global Christianity and global Catholicism, there's going to be certainly a refreshing burst of diversity of all kinds, physical and personal, but cultural. The church is going to be vastly richer in the next 100 years in terms of its articulation of faith, of the art, not the difference of a faith, but its articulation through symbols and actions, music and signs. She's going to be as wildly diverse as the universe, as the world is. We will not be a European, let's call it a European Western religion. We will be the global religion that Christ wanted. It took 2,000 years. With God, he's got time, you see. I think our children today, our grandchildren, especially great-grandchildren, are going to experience a Catholicism that's going to be exciting. I don't know how else to put it. I hope they remain faithful because they'll be a part of something, religiously speaking, that may end up uniting a world without removing, but rather enhancing its diversity. I think so. Because there will be Greeks and Jews, you see. But the difference between a Greek and a Jew, as St. Paul tells us, is in a form of diverse beauty, but of the one body. See? Of the one body. I'm not saying that well, but it will not be divisive. It'll be complementary. I believe that. I believe we see the beginnings of it now as the church becomes more global. In my order, the Passionists, we have more, I told you this before, we have more vocations. In fact, almost all our vocations coming out of Asia, the Middle East and Asia. Vietnam, very much so. Korea. See? I think we're an example of the church. I don't think we're any more special than anybody else, but I think it's an example of the church. Soon, if not already, and I'd say it's already, you're going to see Asian-born missionaries coming to the West to re-evangelize the West, to preach the gospel afresh to the West that has turned pagan or neo-pagan, to either strengthen the faith of the people here, as missionaries do, or to reinvent it in the next 100 or so years. We live in an adventurous time, the adventure of the Spirit. I think, it looks like a scary time, but in the life of the faith, these are pivotal axial moments when nothing is the same afterwards. And I think we're at a period when the world is reconfiguring itself, and the church is going to be at the center of it. As we reach for a spiritual form of unity amidst intense diversity. And with the communications we share now, it's inevitable. We will be talking to each other. And what I hope is praying with each other, loving each other, admiring each other, sharing in each other's world. We're already doing it, but I think it's got to be on a scale that's unimaginable because the world's coming together. And I believe the church will be right at the center of it all. Unified under her leadership in a way, guided by the leadership of the church, but diverse, radically diverse. It already is, but I think it'll even be much more so. I won't be around for it, but I hope if I'm in paradise, I can be a source of blessing for it. We're living on the edge of universal Christianity, global Christianity. We're right on the edge.